Hello, the Lompoc Business Club's podcasts are aimed to bring local businesses and citizens together. Today we are interviewing a fellow alumni student. So let's give a warm welcome to a former FBLA member and Lompoc High School's class of 2001 alumni, Brittany Jones. My name is Evelani Martinson. I am a ninth grade student at Lompoc High School, and this is my fellow officer, Matthias.
Hello, I am Matthias Taylor, a sophomore at Lompoc High School, and I'm part of the FBLA club.
Great. Welcome, Brittany. Can you please introduce yourself? Give us some background information, what you studied in college, your age, hobbies, family, and just some interesting facts about yourself.
Okay. Like you said, I graduated from Lompoc High School in 2001, and I pretty much did all my schooling here in Lompoc. And then after I graduated, I went to Arizona State University, and I spent 4 years there, and I majored in kinesiology. And then after that, I spent about a year at Hancock. I came back home and finished up some prerequisites, and then I went to Northern Arizona University, and I got my doctorate in physical therapy. And then after that, I ended up coming back to Lompoc, and then I started working in Santa Maria. Some hobbies I have, I like to work out. I like to lift weights, and I have 2 kids. I have a little daughter that's 5. She's in kindergarten, and then my son is 8, and he's in 3rd grade. So luckily right now my son's playing baseball, so that keeps us busy on the weekends. And then my daughter loves to hang out and play, and that pretty much keeps me busy.
Is it hard juggling like having kids and then your occupation too?
It's definitely a challenge sometimes, especially right now because how school is. So, us as parents we have a lot more on our plate as far as making sure that our kids are learning and staying on task. And so that can definitely be challenging, but especially working part-time, it's hard to fit everything in, what you want to do with your kids, extracurricular activities, and then just all the other daily stuff you got to fit in, but you make it work somehow, some way.
Yeah. So, like many graduates that graduated at Lompoc High School, did you feel like pressure to get good grades and to move out of Lompoc for college?
I think the pressure I put on myself to get good grades, I didn't feel like, that was coming from anyone else besides myself. But, it's probably the same way it was when how it is for you guys. There's just kind of this stigma that you got to get out of Lompoc. And, that's definitely how it was when I was in school. And one of my top choices was to go to Cal Poly because they have a kinesiology program too. And so it was between Cal Poly and Arizona State. And I have a lot of family in Arizona, so that's a big reason why I decided to go. But at the same time, I kind of wanted to get a little bit further away from Lompoc just to experience something different, because Lompoc can be kind of small. And I think it's important that all of us get out at some point and just kind of see the world, whether you end up coming back, just to get some different life experiences.
What is a life experience or some advice that you would give to a student or Lompoc High School students regarding wanting to venture out to colleges away from Lompoc?
I think one of the most important things that I did was that I went on school visits. So all of the schools that I ended up applying to, I went on a trip to see the campus, do a campus visit, talk to counselors, things like that. And I think that really helps you kind of decide what you want to do. If you show up somewhere and you don't get a good vibe from it, that's probably, a good instinct that maybe it's not going to be the right fit for you. There's some different instances where maybe, you're being offered a full ride scholarship or something, in which case you should probably take that. But if it's really a decision on your own where, you're either going to rely on applying for scholarships or, you might not get a scholarship from a school until after, an academic scholarship until after you apply. I think it's really important that you go and you see the school that maybe you think that you might want to go to.
Okay, so I know that I'm interested in a lot of different things. Did you ever think about switching majors when you were in college?
I actually didn't. I mean, I have quite a few friends who did, but I didn't. And I actually feel very fortunate because I was able to get through school in 4 years. You know, sometimes I have a friend who I think it took her 7 years to graduate because she changed her major so many times. So, you know, I feel very fortunate that I was able to stick with what I wanted to do. And even going through the courses and the hard courses, you know, I stuck with it, and I still had the same end goal, because to be a physical therapist, I had to go to grad school. So my major definitely helped me get to that point.
Oh, wow. That seems like a lot of work going to grad school and all that. But when you were in high school, did you know that you wanted to become a physical therapist?
I did at some point. I started out wanting to be an orthopedic surgeon. And then once you kind of start looking into careers and, you know, as far as the schooling and how long it takes, I mean, you realize, you do the math and you're like, gosh, I might be like over 30 before I even get a job. And then you start thinking about the student loans, and, you know, I started looking into other types of careers where, you know, I could still work with injuries and work with athletes, but maybe not spend so much time in school. And so I don't know if they still have the program, but it was called Youth Leadership Lompoc Valley. And what we did was every month we went on a field trip, and one of them was that we had to job shadow, and I job shadowed at a physical therapy clinic in town. And that was really interesting for me and really opened my eyes to, you know, the different types of careers that I could go to. And so that's kind of what steered me in that direction.
So yeah, so as a physical therapist, or choosing to be a physical therapist, I know I've been through physical therapy before multiple times. So does it satisfy your career goals?
I would say yes, definitely. You know, your job is definitely what you make it. And the good thing with physical therapy, I'm assuming you probably had some kind of maybe like orthopedic injury, your knee, your ankle, your shoulder, something like that. So, you know, you go to, there's outpatient physical therapy for that. But if, you know, maybe you think you might want to try something different, there's many different types of physical therapy that you can go into. You can do home health, you can work with the elderly, you can work with little kids, you can work with athletes, you can do women's health. I mean, there's so many different ways that you can be a physical therapist and, you know, serve people in different ways. So the other thing too is that no day is ever the same. You know, no injury is ever the same. No person is the same. So every day is different, and you can never really get bored with it because things are always changing, and you're always having to use your mind to create new methods to treat people. So I think that's one of the best things about this profession.
So where do you see yourself in 10 years? Do you think you're still going to be connected to Lompoc, or are you going to branch out?
Gosh, in 10 years, I'm not sure, to be honest with you. I would say I would probably still be here. Gosh, in 10 years, my son would be graduating. He would be either a senior or in his first year of college, and my daughter would be in high school. You know, I'm very fortunate to have a great career right now. And then my husband, Mr. Jones, who teaches at the high school and coaches there, you know, he really enjoys his job as well. So we're pretty happy here in Lompoc. But, you know, if some opportunities take us somewhere, then I would be open to that too.
So what clubs or organizations did you join in high school?
Let's see, in high school, like you said, I was in FBLA. And then I was I was a class of 2001 treasurer. And then I moved on to ASB treasurer. And then I was in CSF and the Renaissance Club.
How did these clubs shape your experience or your future?
So the good thing, I really liked being able to interact with different people. I played sports too, and I had my friends from sports, I had my friends from class, I had my friends from the different clubs, and so I really liked being able to interact with different types of people. You kind of sometimes you get stuck in the like, oh, those are the jocks, or those are the nerds or whatever. Well, I kind of hung out with everybody. So I think that was really important about my experience in high school, was that I was a really shy person, and doing those types of things was really hard for me, but I made myself do them because I knew it would be a good skill to have better interpersonal skills. So yeah, I think that was one of the benefits of being involved in so many different types of clubs.
Did your involvement in sports contribute to your decision to going into the physical therapy field?
Definitely. I was very, and still am very, very interested in sports, and not just injuries related to sports, but what it takes to be successful, how to perform well in sports, how to improve your strength and your speed and your agility. And I was always interested in those aspects of it. Luckily for myself, I never got injured. I never had a really big injury when I was in high school. So I know a lot of times people are interested in the profession because they go through rehab and they really enjoy the process, so that gets them interested in doing it. But for me, it was more about my interest in the mechanics of sports and the anatomy of the body that really got me interested in that.
Would you ever consider opening your own physical therapy practice and being your own boss?
So it's definitely something for a long time that I thought I was going to do. But a couple years ago, I kind of decided that, like you asked the 10-year question, I guess I can really answer that for myself. So I thought if I buy my own clinic, or I own my own clinic, then, you're pretty grounded for a while. So I made the decision to go another route, and I work for a company that I'm still running my own clinic, but I don't own it. So I kind of get best of both worlds, because I don't have to financially be in charge of it, but yet I get to make pretty much most of my own decisions like I would if I owned my own clinic.
Yeah, so we see a lot of people, that never go to college or maybe don't graduate. Do you feel that
Sorry.
Do you feel that courses or activities in high school adequately prepared you for the outside world and for college?
Well, I don't think anything can entirely prepare you for what new situation you're going to go into. But I will say, there's some classes with the way that they're taught. There's even still some teachers there that I had when I was in high school, like Mr. Zellers. Mr. Zellers does more of like a lecture type class, at least in marine bio. And, when I got to school, I realized how similar his teaching style was to how a lot of my lectures at school. So I would definitely say that was one of the influential classes. What was the other part of the question?
It was that was it. Just how did it adequately prepare you for college? And then
After college, what drew you to come back to the community?
So it's kind of interesting, because when I was in school, my parents moved to Arizona. So I didn't have my family here anymore. I didn't have my brothers, my parents, my grandparents lived in Arizona, my aunts, my uncles. So I actually didn't think that I would end up coming back to Lompoc, but I started hanging out with Mr. Jones, and we got engaged. And so he had already started working at the high school, and that, he had already kind of established himself. So then when I was done with school, I started looking for jobs around here. So that's kind of how we made it back to Lompoc. And once I got here, I really enjoyed, there's a small town feel in Lompoc where you kind of feel like every corner you turn, you know somebody and you see somebody. And I realized that I kind of missed that, living in an area where I didn't really know as many people. So that's definitely something that drew me back. And I was happy to have again by moving back here to Lompoc.
So, what are some other positive attributes of growing up and raising a family in Lompoc?
So, like I've said before, I'm not much of a city person. So I really enjoy the small town aspect that we have here. The Friday night lights, how the whole community gets involved, gets excited for football games, really gets involved in sports and other activities within the community. Something unfortunate happens, people come together and they help each other out. And, those are things that you don't get when you live in bigger areas where people are more spread out, not as much of an intimate community. So, that's something that I enjoy about Lompoc. My kids, I think being in a small town, I think it's a great place to raise your kids. Again, everybody knows everybody. I didn't get away with much when I was younger. So, somebody's always looking out for you is the way that I feel. And I think I still feel that now as an adult, as I did when I was younger.
Okay, well, that's all the questions we have for you. Thank you so much for coming and sharing everything.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.